Hello, folks. I'm coming to you on Monday, what is it now? It is the 16th. It is Martin Luther King Day. And it is also the middle of an ice storm in the middle of America. Here in Omaha, we have not gotten it bad, although it is icy. But we don't have power lines down like they do in Oklahoma. So happy Martin Luther King Day. I may say something about that Martin Luther King at the end. I don't have new records to show, but it's like, okay, let me show you what's sitting in my pile here. Okay, this is my main room of operation in my house, my studio and music room. And I have it set up conveniently so I can play records or CDs or whatever while I work here at the computer or the desk. I do artwork here as well. So what have I played recently? A lot of old records. Gordon Gilchrist, British guitarist, primarily acoustic guitar, finger-picking style. Doesn't sound like Leo Kottke or Robbie Basho, but kind of like that. You know, a picker, a John Renbourd, Bert Jansch type. This is not new age, but it's not folk and it's not rock. But it's not easy listening either, which is why I like this album and this cover. Isn't that a neat cover? Someone had requested, I get these requests and I don't respond to them mainly because if I don't respond, it's because it's not what I want to do. But someone was asking about, show some of your favorite covers. Well, this is one, see? I would say, if anything, you've noticed how the artwork is important. The music is very important, but presentation, you know, being, coming from my background where every penny counts, when you're buying records, you know, ugly records, you know, you think twice about, you know. So yeah, covers and graphics are very important. Here's an artist who was marketed as new age, but this music has been lost as a result, which is a crime. Timothy Donahue, The Fifth Season. I'm going to open it and show you the picture. The man plays a fretless harp guitar. You don't see those too often, do you? Now, the album starts off with a real, what I call safe-sounding piece of music. In other words, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay, come near. We're not doing anything weird here. Which, I poo-poo that a lot because it just, you know, sometimes, well, not sometimes, but I've always been kind of frustrated with how easily we're frightened as people and how so many interesting things are considered by so many as scary. It's like, geez, something new, does it always have to be seen as scary? What I'm getting at is that once you get past the first crap tune on this album, which is crap, it's beautiful. When he really shows you the beauty of playing that harp guitar. You know, I do make these comments because I've always wanted to be able to share my thoughts on this because I think they're valid. Whether or not you agree with me, what I see is what I see, and so therefore it's valid for me to share it. Okay? Comments about human behavior, you know, it's just me just sharing what I've seen and what I see. You know, people scare so damned easily. Here's a record that on one of my tours where I was playing in New York, I got to do some vinyl shopping, and this was one that I bought. So I remember I had never seen the album before. Italian progressive psychedelic rock band called Gli Alluminogeni. The name of the album is Scolopendra. This is obviously a reissue. I just saw recently on Discogs where there's one copy for sale for $1,036. When I got home with this album, I was disappointed, okay, because it was not the traditional expected sound out of Italian rock. Which is why it's, again, commentary, why it's good to not have expectations. You'll be disappointed. So as a result, I didn't listen to this album for the longest. I played it yesterday. What a delight. What a wild, weird album. It's this organ and wild psychedelic guitar mix, supposedly making a progressive rock sound, but it's just weird. So with the passing of time, I've come to realize what a really cool album I have here. Gli Alluminogeni. Okay, I talk down about the mainstream media a lot for good reason, because it's so manipulated and it's so negatively focused on just getting our money. But someone who has broken through into the mainstream and is very talented is Janelle Monae. And I have her EP, Metropolis. This is the limited edition version with the CD. It's on red vinyl. I bought this the second time. I've seen her in concert twice. Yeah, she impressed me so much that I bothered to go see her twice. The second time I saw her, I tried really hard to meet her. And it was already, her situation was already like, we know where we're going, and nobody gets close to her. This is really good. Futuristic, funk, R&B, pop, all mixed together. The woman is very intelligent, very talented. As you know, she's in the movies now. Well, it shows here with her mind in these songs how cinematic and large her vision of life is. This is really good. Janelle Monae, a mainstream artist. I rate her above Beyonce. I know Beyonce can really sing and stuff, but Beyonce is an example of someone who the mainstream has packaged to the point that I just really won't pay her any attention. It's just too controlled, for me. Jurgen Muller, something I found out about through the VC. Science of the Sea, bubbling, floating ambient synthesizer album. It was recorded in the 80s, but not released until 2011. I believe that's when this came out. This is a green vinyl copy. This album is gorgeous. Wonderful, wonderful. I'll even admit that, I don't have to admit because I did it legally. I sampled some of this on one of my albums. I forget which one. But I used less than maybe 6 seconds of a piece of his music. I used as a sample to build a composition on. This is a wonderful album. Jurgen Muller. Science of the Sea. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Another album that is classic beyond belief and one of my favorite albums that I play a lot. Mahavishnu John McLaughlin, My Goals Beyond. Piece 1 and 2 off of here. I just played piece 2 after, it brings a lot of calm. There's an Eastern influence, just fantastic. And then the B-side of this album, or I don't know if it's the A-side, is John McLaughlin playing acoustic guitar and playing just a whole lot of jazz standards and stuff. Just amazing. My Goals Beyond. This is the original version. There's several issues of this with different covers. This is the original. Here's a band that you can find this album for like 25 cents on Discogs because it didn't sell. And I can see when I listen to it why it wasn't embraced more, but actually this is one that was missed. Sidewinder. This is damn good. What they called acid jazz, future jazz, or whatever. It was just basically relaxed, funky music. But this is real, super tasty, people. I'm telling you, this is one that got missed. I popped this on, and side 2 in particular, Open Source. I ended up taking it back and playing the song again. I'm considering playing this on my radio show. Okay? I just might play this on my Mind and Soul show sometime. I think this is really tasty, okay? Genius of a musician from Brazil, Egberto Gismonti, no caipira, I forget what that means. This is a Brazilian pressing of one of his albums. The man is a genius, and this album is genius. It goes from pop to jazz to contemporary classical to Brazilian, all within the space of one composition. And progressive rock, too. Brilliant, brilliant man. And this album is really thick, really excellent. Really excellent. The Fowler Brothers, Air Pocket. Hunter. The Fowler Brothers literally are a bunch of brothers who are musicians. Several of them were in The Mothers of Invention with Frank Zappa. But on this album, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fowlers in one band. This is very Zappa-esque, but not sounding like Zappa-esque, but more like what I would say adventurous, interesting, and also slightly humorous composing that is a challenge for the players, but sets them up for when it's time to let the solos happen. It sets them up to do interesting things, to step outside of a blues bag or a particular modal bag. This is really, again, subtly very good. Notice the words I'm using. It's not one that's like you hear, it's like, oh man, what is that? It's more like, well, if you just let it play, the next thing, and you listen, it'll draw you in. This is really good. Probably my favorite Mingus album, although the one that is touted historically is which I don't have on vinyl. Wish I did. But Reincarnation of a Lovebird by Charles Mingus. I've had this since it came out. This did not originally come out in America, I understand. So this version, when it came out in 73, was the first, and that's when I got it. Still have it. Just a lyrical, full of light. The title composition is magnificent. When you put it on, it's like the sun comes out and there's I don't know if it's joy. There's just something really positive about this particular album and the title track, Reincarnation of a Lovebird, Charles Mingus. The man was an absolute genius. Yeah, I'm feeling it today. Good coffee helps, but my enthusiasm for the music is real. It is. It sustains me. As you know, I was recently playing Bowie. They're still out. What an album. What a killer album. I had talked about receiving Sid Arthur as a gift, and did I put it away? I had Kate Bush out. I put it away. But another album that I received from a friend through the EBC from Italy, Andrea, if you happen to see this, I pulled an album he gave me by the band Verdana. This is the second album he gave to me by them. End Cadence Volume 1 is the name of this. They're what is considered in Italy an alternative pop band. When I first heard them, they reminded me of sometimes of Mew and then other times of something like The Cure. I don't speak Italian, so I don't know the words, but this music is very emotionally intense and interesting. The way they write their music, the sounds that they use. Even after playing this all the way through, I'm still having difficulty describing it because it's pretty original and it's pretty intense. It's pop music though. Verdana, it's really good though. Really good. One more, because see, I could just go forever. You know, I could talk all day, couldn't I? Wolfgang Downer from Germany and Fred Bracewell, an American serviceman who ended up in Germany after being discharged or whatever. Drummer hooked up in Germany, started the band Ex Magma, played with a bunch of folks, and started this band with Downer, etc. This is wild. It's psychedelic as hell. You can hear the jazz influences, but he's also using traditional instruments from Eastern Europe. And then Fred Bracewell has this spoken word thing that is completely drenched in LSD, etc. Really worth finding out about. So I could show more records, but I'm going to stop and just comment on Martin Luther King. When I was raised in a very religious household. My mom was, my dad wasn't. But you know, when your mom is Christian and you're black, Jesus everywhere. Now on top of that, her dad, my grandpa, was a Baptist minister who I looked just like. I idolized the man. And for a long time, I was going to become a minister. As a child, besides my grandfather, Martin Luther King, I recognized him early on as a very deep, well-meaning human being. And I was just a small child, but his message and his essence came through to me. And he was an early hero of mine. Up until they started killing everybody, all the good people, I thought I wanted to walk in his footsteps. Honestly, I was going to become a minister. I did actually follow through to a point. I was raised Baptist, but then because of being a good student, I got a scholarship to a Catholic all-boys prep school. And while I was there, that was very influential, and I converted to Catholicism with the idea that I would possibly become a Jesuit. And I followed through with that by becoming an acolyte and going to a monastery. It was really just a short visit, but it was to find out. You know, I actually stayed there for a time and went through the routines to see, you know. But what I want to say about Martin Luther King and about the world, and it will include the president-elect, is that in my life, first they killed Kennedy. And maybe I get the order wrong, but it was like I saw the connection between the death of President Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and some other folks who I'm not going to try to remember to bring in. But I saw by those things what our country is truly made of, which is lies, which is it's really run by a hidden hand of power that is intent upon keeping its power. That the most important thing really going on is the game, not these platitudes of virtue and value that are sold to the people through religion and stuff, while behind the scenes there's raping and pillaging going on constantly. The murder of Martin Luther King and those good people showed me that's what this country is about. I see a direct correlation to good people like him being eliminated and us being faced with the this businessman who cares not one whit about humanity. We're facing him becoming our president. I could also tell, I'll say it again, that because of the way that Martin Luther King was murdered, that even by putting a black man into the presidency, it actually just exposes how horrid the situation is when it comes to people behind the scenes and what they really think about humans. They don't care about human beings, especially dark-skinned ones. People like Martin Luther King and the Kennedys were murdered so people like Trump could become president. That's what I see. Some of you won't like it. Too bad. That's what I see, and I say that's what's going on. From this perspective, from this side of the block, since I was a child, that's what I've been seeing, is just the setup so that dirty business can go on as usual. We'll claim that we're doing things for the sake of progress, but really all we're doing is getting ours. We're making ours. That's what's going on. That's why I don't accept people coming at me like I don't know what I'm talking about when I criticize the incoming president. That's what I got to say about Martin Luther King. Be well.